All right, Meta, you're next.
All right, so I obviously got back from Gen Con. I wanted to talk a little bit about it, and by talk, I mean I'm just going to spitfire essentially some things I went through.
Tell
Did
me
not
about every hour of every day you spent
every
eating
hour. So I woke up at
I
like
want a minute by minute playthrough with the
Yeah,
transcripts.
I want to live
down to the
vicariously
so
through
at
you.
6:30 my
I'm
alarm went
gonna
off.
check out.
And then at 6:30 I snoozed it, and then I went back to sleep, and at about 6:38 I woke up again to the alarm, and then I turned it off, and then I went back to bed, and I woke up at 7, and then I got up, and then I kind of walked around for a little bit, just stretching, and then I won't actually keep going that. No,
I was riveted to my desk.
I know. He's like,
I mean, literally, somebody
paid
told me
for the
these
full-
reviews
What's he
out
gonna
of
eat
my
for
house.
breakfast?
bagels. I had a bagel
Yeah, that's what I.
and the
dude,
complimentary breakfast.
That's what all I do at Gen Con is eat bagels and like a piece of fruit every morning.
We actually,
Jelly donuts.
I will say this. I'm very used to, like, when we get our hotel, I'm very used to them not having a complimentary breakfast. But ours did this year, so I actually got to eat like a king in the morning.
Which hotel did you guys stay in?
We stayed at the Hampton.
Okay, yeah.
Right on, the hell is it called? Maryland?
Yeah,
Maryland
I
Road?
think we were at that one year.
Yeah. So it was very nice. It was okay. We took a suite. We had like 6 people crammed into it. So, anyway, so for Gen Con, I didn't actually go to really any events this year. There was really nothing that tantalized me. The only Gen Cons events I ever really went to were the L5R ones, and they were okay. No offense, AAG, but they were just okay. But and those were the RPG, not even the card games. I don't bother with that slogfest.
They didn't do a lot specifically. It was a lot.
No.
Usually, Heroes of Rokugan did stuff with the role playing game. They had the year they sold it, which I think was the 25th anniversary year. They had the story RPG event, which I didn't get to play in.
That sucks. Generally most of my time at Gen Con is usually just spent going around the exhibition hall because I love picking up board games. And generally, when I'm playing an RPG, I already kind of know what I'm going to get from it, and I follow them. But I'm not following a lot, so I generally like to follow around board games and whatnot. And I'm not a big fan of the Pathfinder Society. All that. I'm not a big fan of those things in general. I generally find that they're just poor in my eyes, anyway. But I mean, I'm sure there's somebody who's like, "It's great." So.
How dare you say that?
Teach their own.
Everyone, throw your slings and arrows. Meta now.
Just throw them though. Please don't actually use the sling.
He needs to suffer them.
Just throw the slings. Don't actually use the slings with the rock. But the this year we kind of went around, and normally Lily and I generally kind of look at games that are coming up and see if they're going to be at Gen Con. Are they? We had like Lily last year made this sweet binder, but this year we kind of decided like, you know what? Let's just kind of go into it and just see if anything catches our eyes, because there are still games from last year we haven't played yet. So it seemed really silly to try to buy tons of games if we haven't even played ones from the year beforehand.
Yeah.
So we kind of just went in blind this year. We obviously hit up Pathfinder booth right in the morning. I call it Pathfinder booth. I know it's Paizo, but it's Pathfinder booth to me. And we hit up the Paizo booth.
You bought all the minis.
We bought all the minis. We bought all the extras, the player companions, the setting guides, all of it, just everything. In fact, I bought the booth there and then. I just paid them. I paid them out, and that's why the line was so long. I was up in the front buying everything.
Folding tables are only like $20, right?
Yeah, right. I paid $30. I paid up price.
You got a deal, my good sir.
I did. So we came across a few games. Nothing. I don't think there's anything out this year that truly stood out to me though. Is like wonderfully and amazing. But we picked up a couple things. We picked up the new Smash Up expansion because we're just absolutely loving that. And I have to say, the Samurai, Viking, Cowboy, and Egyptian is wonderful to play. They did add in new rules for that: dueling and burying. We had a thorough amount of playtime with them over the weekend. I would have to say that each of those decks are wonderful. They don't feel super powerful, as normally games tend to do when they go on for a billion years, and you have new versions that are coming out. They actually don't feel like they got hit too hard with the power creep. The dueling mechanic is pretty nice. It does need probably a little bit more explanation on what it is, but it's very clearly kind of harkening back from it almost kind of feels like they borrowed a bit from L5R, because you choose a character to duel with and you choose the opponent you're dueling, and then you both place one card face down and then you just flip it up and you get the effect.
No dials.
No, there's no dials. Not the FFG. Not the FFG dueling, where I have to give up honor points to be a better duelist. God, still salty. But that was kind of nice. The burying mechanic is really cool. You kind of just at the start of your turn, you just either bury a card from another card, or you show everybody the card you're going to bury it, and then you bury it on a base, and then that card is effectively considered to be a non-factor. You can't target with anything. You can't hit it with anything. And then at the start of their next turn, they can opt to flip it up and do whatever its effects are, without being interrupted or stopped, unless it states that I believe it can. I could be wrong. I didn't look at the burying rule that much.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a cool mechanic. Yeah, this is called bury.
It's not destroy and can't be regenerated.
No.
That's an old Magic term.
Yeah. Did y'all go to big game night?
We did not go to big name night.
Oh, wow.
My friends did. Well, because we went to Critical Role Live, which was the same time as big game night.
Oh, gotcha.
So
How was that?
That was actually a lot of fun. It was very cool. It was very entertaining. Although Lily enjoyed it far more than I ever can. She's just a super big fan, and I'm honestly, outside of this podcast, I'm pretty relaxed, even if I type like I'm a wild maniac. So being like there, it was like I'm pretty chill, and she's like, "Oh my god, it's amazing, and I'm like, "Yeah, this is pretty cool. I'm glad we went to it." So
I'm having fun.
I'm having fun. This is pretty sweet. That's not a joke. That's not really a joke. That's really how I am.
No, I'm the same way.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't mean she necessarily enjoyed it any more than you. It just means she showed
it just means she enjoyed it more now.
So yeah, she actually means she enjoyed it more. I do have actually a funny story to go with that. When we went, I was an idiot and I forgot I kept my pocket knife with me.
Oh no!
Yeah, so you can see where immediately this is going to go, because I always have security. And this was the pocket knife from when I was the best man to my friend who got married. So this was the present that he got me, which was a really cool pocket knife. So as we're going in, I'm like, oh shit, as I pat my size down, because I'm gonna have to go through, have to shoot off all this shit. And I'm like, oh. So I had to go out of line, and I had to find somewhere that I could hide it and get it back. And it was like around the corner of this theater. There was by this pillar, there was actually like a little pipe that was popping out. I have no idea what the purpose is. I assume for rain and whatnot.
Yeah.
To just drain out of. But I popped the bad boy in there, and at the end of the day, I can safely say that I got my pocket knife back out of it.
Nice.
There you go.
I was actually really frustrated with that. I was pissed off at myself, because obviously this is a very important game. This was like I am me and me alone, and it's also really useful, and I like it because I like pocket knives. I think they're wonderfully pragmatic things to give somebody who has a very pragmatic mind. So
yeah, I have one.
I will totally agree about the amount of times I've had my pocket knife on me
Yes.
at the last moment and gone, oh shit. So I totally relate to this story.
I carry it around with me all the time. It's such a
Yes,
useful bloody
like,
thing.
It's to the point where I don't even it's like my glasses. I don't consciously think about putting it on in the morning. It's
Yeah,
just
It's
on
just
when I
like
get
it's
out of
just
bed.
there. Yeah, that's
It'll
the
be a
thing.
Saturday. I'm sitting there in my pajama pants playing video games, and my pocket knife is clipped to my pocket of my. It's there. That's what
Yeah.
it is.
There's times I completely forgot to take it out. So that was like the biggest oh shit moment there. As for the games that we did play, we tried a couple more. We did play a new version of a game whose name I suddenly cannot remember at all. So I guess
That's
this story's gonna end. This story's gonna end right here, right now. But it was a pretty fun game. You just took on the role of like some character, and you were essentially trying to either make everybody. You have a relationship.
Yeah,
with
that's a
somebody
game.
else.
You're trying to win.
Yeah, we're trying to win. It's trying to win. No. So essentially, you have like
You
a
do
role.
some
You're either
stuff.
like you do some stuff and you roll some dice. You had a role that you choose, and that really doesn't mean anything, but it will affect like your relationship with somebody else, because you essentially have what's like a relationship tile, and that tile says whether you're trying to vilify them, whether you're trying to keep them in favor, or whether you're trying to putting them out of favor and whatnot. And if you do that objective when the game ends, you get bonus points for it. So you then have obviously who you are. You have your objective on that person, and then a card next to your own that's like, this is the person that you're trying to either do good with or do bad with at the end of the game. And they had a couple of rules in there. They were just you played different little tokens from your hand, and depending on what you played, you could either attempt to perform a scandal on somebody, or you could put make them suspect of something. And the idea is to really kind of knock your opposition out while keeping your friendly person in play. It was a very fun game. It's very kind of a cloak and dagger style of game. So it was very entertaining for what it was, and I don't know where I can remember it. I'll find the game and I will tell you what it is.
You'll literally remember as soon as
I'm gonna remember after it's off. There was another game we played. It was really cool. It was dinosaurs. It was awesome, and it was like colorful as crap.
Is that the name of the game? Is Dinosaurs?
Dinosaurs. Yes, that's the absolute
Dinosaur Island.
Oh, I'm already on board. Dinosaurs
essentially, all you were doing in this game was you're just attempting to you're creating a dinosaur a theme park. It's literally like Jurassic Park.
Dinosaur Island is the game, right?
I believe so.
I'm on your Twitter, so.
Yeah, there you go.
Mal is cross.
Mal is on. I need to go to my own Twitter. Literally was on Twitter for all the weekend, but I have no idea what she put up there, so I gotta go to my own Twitter now. Shit.
It was just Dinosaur Island. I was trying to see if I could recognize the stuff you're.
Yes, it was. It was Dinosaur Island. It was a lot of fun. The game is actually, in my eye, is probably one of the most perfect games designed, because there is non-RNG. It's skill based, deciding how you want to display your resources, who's going to buy what. But the certain when you're building your theme park, essentially, you have cards that are set into a pile, and people and you can hire people on your team, and those cards are all random. So you don't know what you're going to get for that game, or who's going to come up first, who's going to be more expensive, because depending on where that card is placed when it's revealed, it's either going to be super expensive or cheap. So not only will that card maybe come up the next time you play it, but it might be more expensive or cheaper this time, and might change how you strategize the game. But what you can do is always the same. It's actually probably one of my favorite games. It has tons of replayability. It is incredibly fun to play with your friends. The only downside is it's 4 people, so you can only do 4 people with the game. That said, the expansion that they are going to be coming out with it will increase it to 5. So if you have that, bam, go.
Can you play with less than that number, or does it have to be minimum of that as well?
You can play less than that. You don't have.
Does look like it takes up a lot of table space.
You can yeah. Unfortunately, the biggest downside of the thing is that get a big table. You need a very big table. You can actually play solitaire with it as well. You can just play against yourself. And then we hit up Red Dragon Inn, which is
I love Red Dragon Inn.
Big time fans of that game. I don't think I've ever played that game with anybody who's ever said this game sucks. I think everybody we've ever played this game with is like, this game.
I need to actually get it.
It's wonderful. The game is great. They have their new characters that are coming out, which is Ohava and Murgath. And they're the new Red Dragon Inn allies. Ohava is the Grand Cleric, and his job is essentially, there's 4 deities, and they're out of harmony, and his job is to kind of try to put them into harmony, but they really like to not stay in harmony with one another. So he's a very busy guy or girl. I don't remember.
This is all the time while just getting hammered at the Red Dragon Inn.
Yeah, all at the same time. So you're not only trying to get these gods to agree with each other, but you're trying to avoid being knocked out, have all your coins stolen, or being completely made drunk. So it's a lot of fun. The mechanic for Ohava is that essentially if you get 3 cards in harmony, then your hand size increases to 8. And if you get all 4 in harmony, all of your cards, all of your starting cards, so in case you steal somebody else's card for somehow, or somebody gives you a card for something, have their numerical effects increased by 1. So they all start hitting like trucks. Like you have, and Ohava generally has a lot of cards that are like, take 1 damage and gain 1 alcohol. Now it's suddenly take 2 damage and gain 2 alcohol. So that's a 4 hit right there. So that's what Ohava's thing is. Now Murgath is my favorite character I think, except for the Lich. I think Murgath and the Lich are probably my two favorite characters, but Murgath is the other new character, and his gimmick is that he is a dark paladin, essentially. He's a dark slayer, whatever you want to call him. And he has the unfortunate circumstance of holding a very holy and good sword. So while he wants to burn down the peasant village, the holy sword wants to heal the peasant. And the dude hits like a truck. Almost all. I don't think there's any card of his that does not hit for 3 or 4. The problem is that anytime he attacks somebody or does anything, you also have to give that person a card from the blessed deck, your blessing deck, which is what the sword is doing. The sword is giving them a boon, and that might mean they now have a card that they can hit you back with immediately for damage, or they can heal themselves immediately, or it lets them draw more cards, or it gives them other boons and swords of the like. So you might hit them for 4, but then suddenly they'll heal back too on their turn. So Murgath is a really fun thing, but I will state that he hits so hard. It's disgusting how hard he hits.
Supposed to make up for that sword.
The sword, the blessings though. I mean, that blessings. It's actually, I love his character concept too. I just like the idea.
Yeah, I was gonna say that as a concept, you don't really. It's always the other thing.
It's always the other way around. Like a good character fighting off an evil. It's interesting. I enjoy the character a lot. The blessed sword is actually pretty funny, and she's a talking sword, which means that even though he's an evil character, he can't actually cheat at gambling either, because she will give him away. But he does have anti-cheating cards, but he can't actually cheat himself. It's pretty funny in that regard. So
yeah, that's pretty great.
Oh, and if nobody has ever known this, I want to point this out because this was pointed out to us. Some of us knew, some of us didn't. But I was surprised at how many people didn't know. Red Dragon Inn coins actually have a head and tails side to them.
Oh.
Yeah.
Just never noticed.
Yeah, they're incredibly small, but the little dragons on the coins actually have either a head or a tail side. They're just small, so nobody ever freaking noticed. So, that was a very fun expansion. I would recommend, obviously, just Red Dragon Inn in general. I think it's a very fun game.
Yeah.
They are, and for those of you who have big gaming groups, like my group, where we have generally 6 players, that is our average size. They are coming out with rules to potentially enhance games that go beyond 4 or even 5 characters, because once you start going into 6, 7, 8, then the game becomes very unwieldy, very fast, and it gets a little bit crazy. So they are going to be coming out with some rules for that.
Cool.
Another game we played was called Monster Slaughter. That was a very fun game. You essentially just play as monsters attempting to kill a college student in all of its 80s, 90s cheese glory.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So Freddy Krueger,
No.
Jason.
You have generic creatures. You have vampires.
Legally distinct Freddy, not Freddy Krueger.
No, I mean, that's what I meant. Like
non-legally bonding Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
You have 3 different groups, and they do have their own abilities. They do have their own passive abilities. You have vampires, Frankensteins, the monsters, say, and then you have zombies. And vampires are really good at finding items in a room or investigating the room. Frankenstein creatures hit harder; they actually are really strong. And then zombies cannot be ejected from a room if you happen to fail to harm a college student. So it's a pretty neat game, enjoyable. It was okay. I wouldn't say it was great. It was okay. I think it probably could use for a little bit more expanding on, but it's a very quick and easy game to play, and it was pretty fun from what we're. The main objective of the game is obviously to kill the college students, but you decide before the game starts what order you want them to die in, and then you specifically apply what's called a mark to one of those individuals. You are essentially trying to say that this is the order they're going to die in, and then the one that is marked is the one that you need to personally kill, because if you kill that mark, you get the point. You get extra points for killing your. So,
okay. That
was pretty much that. We did take a part in the new Smash Up's Titans event as well, for those of you who like Smash Up, and I will say that they have a lot of Titan cards coming out with and making people. I would say the only disappointing thing is that not every faction gets Titan cards yet. I don't know if they're going to be coming out with more or not. I haven't really caught up with it, so to speak. But they did have a lot of them, including Cthulhu. He is a Titan. You can play as. It does. They're adding it in since the Titan expansion that they had a while back. They're actually really cool. They're a lot of fun. So they're doing it for everyone. It's a lot of fun. And we also actually won because it's a tournament kit for that. We actually did win the tournament kit, and we got to keep the cool, sweet, swanky pad, like the kind of like the pad that you play on top of. We won
Nice.
that.
Playmat?
Yeah, the playmat. Thank you. I could not remember what it was called. We won that, and then our friend actually won the cool counter, the like, solid counter card, because they know they got points and they pop them out of the cardboard. But those are really the only things that I would say to mention on. Probably, like I said, we didn't do a lot of demoing. We were just having a lot of fun playing the game, going around and gaming with our friends.
Hey man, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. So that was Gencon.
I honestly don't know what I would have done if I went. I probably would have ended up playing a lot of D&D again, like I did last year.
I've wanted to play. I've been tempted to try to play some of the Pathfinder games and stuff and whatnot.
Yeah.
But again, it's just like we already play Pathfinder every week, so.
Mm-hmm.
Must be nice.
I could never,
Sorry, Mao.
I could never play enough D&D 5th edition, personally. There's just so many characters I want to play, which I've talked about many, many times. But
yeah,
like half of Gen Con for me is like really good food, hanging out with people I don't get to see a lot, and then the other half is the games. So
I think that's the biggest reason why I want to go, is just mostly to hang out with people.
yeah, that's a lot of fun. And like a lot of my really good friends who played L5R don't play the new game either, so it's sadly I don't get to see them really anymore. They coincidentally do play Magic now, but they all live in
Magic's
Knoxville.
great.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, Mal, Magic sucks. It's like the worst game of all time, obviously.
What were you doing right before we started?
Playing the worst game of all time.
Yeah, Control.
Final Fantasy 15.
Hey now. Hey to both of you.
We're ganging up on him.
Well, speaking of Magic, let's get to my topic. The Silver Series.
Magic.
No.